The distant reaches of space held dangers that most beings could not imagine. Beyond the familiar stars of the Milky Way, the Andromeda sector was a place of harsh planets, drifting asteroids, and unpredictable cosmic storms. It was a region where only the strongest survived, and where trust was often a luxury no one could afford. Princess Lyra, the youngest daughter of the ruling family of the Zetharian Empire, had grown up in this universe of challenge and intrigue. She had been trained from a young age to handle diplomacy, combat, and survival, yet nothing had truly prepared her for the betrayal she was about to face. Lyra's mission had begun as a routine diplomatic journey. She was traveling with a small, but elite group of royal aides, security personnel, and advisors to negotiate a treaty with a rival alien faction. The stakes were high. Failure could ignite a war that would engulf several star systems. Lyra carried herself with the poise of someone who had been raised to command respect, her violet eyes scanning the stars as the royal cruiser glided silently through space. Despite her calm exterior, she felt the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on her young shoulders. Every decision she made could alter the course of her empire. She reminded herself that she had trained for this moment, and that the safety of her people depended on her courage and intelligence. However, what Lyra did not anticipate was betrayal from those closest to her. As the cruiser approached the neutral zone where the negotiations were to take place, tension in the ship rose. The crew whispered among themselves, exchanging anxious glances, but Lyra, trained to sense deception, did not immediately notice the subtle signs. When the first attack came, it was swift and precise. Enemy ships, small but fast, surrounded the cruiser. In the chaos, Lyra's security team tried to defend the vessel, but the attackers were relentless. The cruiser was heavily damaged, its engines failing, and alarms blared through the corridors. Lyra's heart raced, but she remained focused, giving orders with clarity and precision even as sparks flew around her. Then came the moment that would change everything. Lyra's aides, her own entourage who had sworn loyalty to her family, made a choice. Fear overtook reason. They decided that survival meant abandoning the princess. Leaving her behind seemed the only way to save themselves from certain death. Lyra could not comprehend the betrayal at first. Her mind struggled to process the reality that those she had trusted most had left her, floating in a damaged ship with no power, no backup, and limited oxygen. The shock was immense, but giving in to despair was not an option. She had survived countless drills and simulations, but this was the real test of her resilience. In the silence that followed the departure of her so-called allies, Lyra struggled to regain control of the damaged vessel. She assessed the limited resources she had at her disposal: a small emergency life support unit, a partially functional communicator, and a scant supply of energy cells. Using her knowledge of engineering and her training in survival tactics, she managed to stabilize the ship temporarily. Every system she could salvage was brought online with careful attention, and she set a course for the nearest asteroid field, hoping to find some form of shelter. The environment around her was merciless. Asteroids drifted unpredictably, and cosmic radiation pulsed through the void. One wrong maneuver could shatter her ship into fragments, leaving her to drift endlessly in the cold dark of space. As Lyra fought to maintain control, she also faced the emotional storm inside her. Anger, fear, and disbelief battled for dominance. She thought of her home, her family, and the empire that relied on her. She realized that she could not allow herself to be a victim, no matter how dire the circumstances. Each decision she made, in those critical hours, reflected her character and determination. She calculated trajectories, rationed energy, and even attempted to send a distress signal, knowing the chances of anyone receiving it were slim. Yet she refused to give up hope entirely. Somewhere in the vast emptiness of space there might be someone willing to help, and perhaps, she thought, the universe still had a plan for her. It was at that moment, as the ship drifted between enormous chunks of rock, that a faint signal caught her attention. It was weak, barely discernible against the background noise of space. Lyra's fingers trembled slightly as she enhanced the signal. The transmission was from a human engineer named Alex, stationed on a nearby outpost. Unlike the aliens she had encountered, humans were unpredictable and often underestimated by intergalactic travelers. Yet Alex had received her emergency ping and, unlike many others who might have dismissed it as interference, he took it seriously. For Lyra, this was the first glimmer of hope she had felt since her abandonment. The thought that someone had noticed her distress and was willing to act was almost overwhelming. While Alex prepared to respond, Lyra focused on survival. She used the ship's minimal resources to maintain life support, carefully monitoring her oxygen and energy levels. Every decision had to be precise, every movement calculated. She practiced breathing exercises to keep her mind clear, forcing herself to ignore the pain from minor injuries sustained during the attack. The isolation was intense. With no one to talk to and no immediate way to know if rescue would come, Lyra relied entirely on her mental strength. She recited lessons from her training, reviewed diplomatic protocols, and ran through escape strategies in her mind. She knew that survival depended not just on luck, but on her ability to remain calm and resourceful under pressure. Hours passed, and the distance to potential rescue felt endless. Yet Lyra refused to yield to despair. She recalled stories of legendary leaders who had survived impossible odds, and she drew strength from their courage. The stars outside her viewport shimmered coldly, indifferent to her struggle, yet in their vastness, she found a strange kind of motivation. She was not merely fighting for herself, she was fighting for her people, for her empire, and for the possibility of a future that could still be shaped by her decisions. Every minute that passed tested her endurance, and every calculation she made kept her alive just a little longer. By the time Alex's small spacecraft approached the area, Lyra had already proven her determination. She was conscious, alert, and managing her survival with skill and resilience that few could have imagined. When the human engineer finally arrived, navigating the asteroid field with precision, Lyra's relief was immense, tempered by exhaustion. She had survived against odds that many would have considered insurmountable. In that moment, she realized that her life depended not only on her own abilities, but also on the unexpected courage of another being who refused to ignore her plight. The stage was set for an extraordinary story of survival, trust, and the beginning of a bond that would cross the boundaries of worlds. When Alex's small spacecraft finally appeared among the jagged asteroids, the sight of it brought a mixture of relief and disbelief to Lyra. She had spent hours fighting to keep her damaged ship functional, unsure if anyone would come. And now there was a human, someone completely unexpected who had seen her distress signal and actually dared to respond. Despite the exhaustion and injuries, a spark of hope ignited within her. She realized that survival might actually be possible. Alex navigated his spacecraft with skill, weaving between massive drifting rocks that could easily crush a ship in seconds. Every movement was calculated, showing the experience of someone who had spent countless hours mastering the art of space travel. He had detected Lyra's signal hours earlier and refused to leave until he found its source. Many humans faced with such danger might have turned back, but Alex was not like most. Something in that faint, desperate transmission had spoken to him. He could not ignore it. As Alex approached, Lyra activated her emergency docking system. It was delicate work. Her hands shook from fatigue, and the minor injuries she had sustained made every action more difficult. Yet, with careful precision, she managed to align her ship for docking. She barely noticed the cold of the metal against her skin, or the pain of bruised muscles. So focused was she on making contact with the human who had come to save her. The moment the two ships linked, a wave of relief swept through her, but the danger was far from over. Alex opened the airlock and immediately assessed Lyra's condition. She was conscious but weak, her breathing shallow and her energy levels dangerously low. He did not panic. Years of training had prepared him for emergencies like this. Carefully, he entered her ship, bringing along a compact medical kit. His hands moved with precision, checking her pulse, stabilizing her breathing, and gently examining her injuries. He worked quickly but carefully, understanding that one wrong move could make matters worse. Lyra, despite her exhaustion, felt a mix of pride and frustration. She had always been trained to rely on her own strength, and now she had to accept help from a human. It was humbling, but also necessary. Alex's calm presence gave her a sense of security she had not felt in hours. She allowed herself to relax, just enough to let him treat her injuries. As he worked, she noticed his focus and determination. He was completely committed to helping her, not because of politics or orders, but because he had chosen to care. Once her immediate injuries were stabilized, Alex prepared for the journey back to his space station. He secured her safely in a transfer pod, ensuring that her oxygen and life support were fully functional. Lyra, feeling the gentle vibrations of the spacecraft and hearing the hum of its engines, realized how fragile her situation had been. She had been on the edge of death, abandoned by her own people, and yet here she was, alive thanks to someone who had risked everything to find her. The gratitude she felt was overwhelming, but she also felt a quiet curiosity about this human who had chosen her life over his own safety. The journey through the asteroid field was tense. Space was unforgiving, and even the smallest mistake could prove fatal. Alex's skills were evident as he maneuvered through tight spaces, avoiding debris and sudden gravitational shifts. Lyra watched him work, impressed by his calm and confidence. She had dealt with political intrigue, negotiations, and even combat training. But this pure determination to save another life, was something she had rarely encountered. She felt a growing respect for him, mixed with a cautious curiosity. Who was this human, and why had he chosen to risk so much for her? As they traveled, Lyra tried to engage Alex in conversation, but he remained focused on the task at hand. He offered her small reassurances, explaining the steps he was taking and why certain precautions were necessary. His voice was steady, calm, and comforting, a stark contrast to the chaos she had experienced moments earlier. For Lyra, this simple human connection was a reminder that she was not alone. The universe was vast, full of dangers and betrayals, but also unexpected acts of kindness. Hours passed as they navigated the asteroid field. Lyra found herself reflecting on the events that had led to this moment. She remembered the fear in the eyes of her former entourage, the betrayal that had left her stranded, and the cold emptiness of the ship around her. And now, she thought, there was someone who believed in her enough to risk everything for her. Survival. It was a profound shift in her understanding of loyalty and courage. Humans, she realized, were unpredictable, but in this unpredictability lay a strength she had never fully appreciated. Finally, they approached Alex's space station. It was modest, but well-equipped, designed to handle emergencies and provide a safe haven for travelers. The docking sequence was smooth, and soon Lyra found herself inside a clean, well-lit medical bay. Alex ensured that she was comfortably settled, connected to monitoring equipment, and given nourishment. He worked methodically, checking her vitals and making careful adjustments to her treatment. Lyra felt safe for the first time since the attack, and the exhaustion that had been building for hours finally caught up with her. She drifted into a light, untroubled sleep, knowing that she was in capable hands. When she awoke, she was no longer in the cold emptiness of space, but in a place designed for comfort and recovery. Alex was nearby, observing her with careful attention. Lyra felt a strange mixture of gratitude, admiration, and curiosity. She had survived the impossible, and it was clear that his unwavering focus and courage had made the difference. For a princess who had faced betrayal and danger, this experience was humbling. She realized that survival depended not only on her own skills but also on the willingness of others to act with courage and compassion. As Lyra began her slow recovery, she and Alex started to communicate more. She learned about his life, his work as an engineer, and the reasons he had chosen to follow her distress signal despite the risks. In turn, Alex learned about her role as a princess, the responsibilities she carried, and the challenges she faced in her empire. Through these exchanges, they built a foundation of trust and respect. Lyra realized that while she had been abandoned by her own people, she had found an ally in someone she could have never predicted, a human who refused to walk away. Their journey together had only just begun. While the immediate danger had passed, the universe still held challenges, political complications, and unknown threats. But for Lyra, the knowledge that someone had risked everything for her survival was a powerful reminder of hope. In Alex, she saw not just a rescuer, but a partner in facing the uncertain future. And for Alex, the experience reinforced the belief that courage and loyalty could make a difference, even in the most desperate of circumstances. Together, they had overcome. The first trial and the bond they had formed would guide them through the challenges yet to come. Back on the space station, Lyra's recovery continued at a steady pace. The medical bay was quiet except for the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep of monitors. After days of isolation in the wrecked cruiser and the harrowing journey through the asteroid field, being in a safe environment was almost surreal. For the first time, Lyra could relax her mind and body, though her thoughts were far from idle. She reflected on the recent events, the betrayal she had suffered, and the human who had saved her life. Alex was no longer just a rescuer. He had become an anchor in the chaos that had upended her world. The first few days were difficult. Lyra struggled with simple movements, her body stiff from the long hours of stress and injury. Alex was patient, guiding her through exercises to regain strength while ensuring she did not strain herself. His approach was gentle but firm, a balance she found both reassuring and surprising. She had always been surrounded by trained attendants and soldiers, people whose loyalty was often more about duty than genuine care. With Alex, she sensed a rare kind of devotion. He did not owe her anything, and yet he had risked everything to help her survive. It was a humbling and profound experience. As she regained her strength, Lyra's curiosity about Alex grew. She began to ask questions about his life, his experiences, and how he came to be stationed in this remote sector. Alex answered patiently, sharing stories of human life and the struggles and triumphs that shaped him. He spoke of small victories, of people he had helped, and of the values he held dear: courage, loyalty, and kindness. Lyra listened intently, fascinated by his perspective. Humans were different from Zetharians, unpredictable, emotional, and sometimes reckless, but there was a resilience and strength in them that she admired. At the same time, Lyra had to face the reality of her situation. The galaxy was vast and her enemies were many. Her entourage's betrayal had not gone unnoticed, and whispers of her vulnerability had already begun to spread. Political rivals might see her as weak, and her position as princess could be threatened. She realized that survival alone was not enough. She had to prepare for the challenges that awaited her once she returned to her people. Alex's presence became a source of strategy, as well as support. His practical thinking and understanding of technology were invaluable in planning for the dangers ahead. Their days settled into a rhythm. Alex attended to the medical needs of Lyra, maintained the systems of the space station, and provided a sense of security that was as psychological as it was physical. Lyra, in turn, shared insights into her world, the intricacies of her empire, the responsibilities she carried, and the expectations placed upon her as a princess. These conversations were more than simple exchanges of information. They were a building of trust and understanding. Lyra began to realize that she could rely on Alex not just for survival, but for guidance and partnership. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day. Despite the calm of recovery, tension was never far away. Reports from the station's sensors indicated unusual activity in nearby sectors, signaling that threats were not entirely gone. Pirates, rival factions, and opportunistic adventurers all posed potential danger. Lyra's mind, always sharp and alert, analyzed every report, every data point. She knew that preparation was essential. Alex assisted her, not by taking over, but by offering practical solutions and technical expertise. Together they mapped out strategies for defense and escape, combining her knowledge of diplomacy and leadership with his engineering skills and quick thinking. Even as they worked, moments of levity and human connection emerged. Alex's subtle humor and straightforward manner helped Lyra relax and reminded her of life beyond politics and danger. He told stories of Earth and its people, simple anecdotes about growing up, learning and facing challenges in ways that were familiar, yet different from Lyra's own experiences. She found herself laughing again, a sound that had been absent. during the days of fear and betrayal. These small moments created a bond that was deeper than necessity. It was genuine friendship, built on trust and shared experience. As Lyra's strength returned, she began to take a more active role in her recovery and planning. She walked the station corridors under Alex's watchful eye, learning to move with confidence and purpose. Every step reminded her that she was reclaiming control over her own destiny. The princess who had been left for dead was now an active participant in her survival and future. Alex's presence provided both support and challenge, encouraging her to push beyond the limits imposed by her injuries while always ensuring safety. During one evening, as the stars outside the station shimmered with silent brilliance, Lyra and Alex had a conversation that would shape their partnership. Lyra shared her fears of returning to her empire, of facing those who had betrayed her, and of confronting political adversaries. Alex listened carefully, offering practical advice and reassurance without dismissing her emotions. In that exchange, Lyra recognized a rare quality. He respected her intelligence, her authority, and her strength, yet he was not afraid to guide her when necessary. This balance of respect and support deepened her trust and admiration. Word of Lyra's survival began to reach other parts of the sector. Some were surprised that a princess had been abandoned and yet managed to survive. Others were skeptical, doubting the story of a human rescuer. Yet for Lyra, the opinions of others were secondary. She focused on understanding the challenges ahead, rebuilding her strength and preparing for the inevitable confrontation with those who had betrayed her. Alex remained by her side, offering both technical support and moral encouragement. Their collaboration had become a partnership, one that transcended species and background. Through these days of recovery and planning, Lyra learned more than survival techniques or political strategy. She discovered the value of trust, loyalty, and courage in ways she had never fully appreciated before. She realized that true leadership required more than command. It required the ability to rely on others, to form alliances, and to recognize the strengths in those who chose to stand beside her. Alex's unwavering commitment had shown her that even in a universe filled with betrayal and danger, there were those who would act with integrity and bravery. By the time Lyra was ready to leave the safety of the medical bay, she had regained not only her physical strength but also a renewed sense of purpose. She could face the future with confidence, knowing that she was not alone. The bond she and Alex had formed was unspoken yet powerful, a partnership built on mutual respect, shared trials, and the knowledge that together they could overcome challenges that might have seemed impossible alone. For Lyra, this was more than survival. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one in which she would face her enemies, reclaim her authority, and navigate the complexities of the universe with courage and wisdom. Lyra knew that recovery was only the first step. While she had survived the betrayal and the dangerous journey through the asteroid field, she could not ignore the political threats waiting for her in her empire. Her former entourage had abandoned her, and news of that betrayal had spread. Rumors were circulating that she was weak, vulnerable, and perhaps unfit to lead. Lyra understood that she could not allow such narratives to take root. She needed to reclaim her authority, restore respect, and confront those who had turned against her. Yet she knew she could not do it alone. Alex remained by her side, a constant source of practical guidance and emotional support. Though a human, he had proven himself capable and intelligent, and Lyra valued his insights. Together, they developed strategies to address both the political and practical challenges ahead. They analyzed communications, assessed potential threats, and identified allies who could assist in securing her position. Lyra realized that leadership was not just about commanding people. It was about understanding alliances, assessing risks, and acting decisively. Alex's perspective offered a new dimension to her thinking. His experience as an engineer and problem solver brought clarity to complex situations, and Lyra came to appreciate the importance of combining knowledge with strategy. The first challenge was confronting her former entourage. Lyra needed to assert that she had not only survived but had grown stronger through adversity. She summoned a meeting, one that would require courage and composure. Her attendants, some guilty, Others, calculating, expected her to be weakened or fearful. Lyra entered the room with her head held high, her eyes steady and unflinching. Alex remained nearby, offering silent support. Her voice, calm yet commanding, made it clear that the betrayal had not broken her spirit. She addressed the issues directly, questioning loyalty and reminding everyone of the responsibilities they owed to the Empire. The reaction was a mixture of surprise and unease. Her former allies had underestimated her resilience, and now they faced a leader who had endured the impossible and returned stronger than before. While dealing with internal politics, Lyra also faced external threats. Rivals had sensed an opportunity in her vulnerability, and spies and mercenaries were testing her defenses. Alex helped her fortify communications, monitor potential attacks, and plan countermeasures. Together, they implemented systems that allowed them to respond quickly to emerging threats. Lyra's sharp mind and strategic thinking, combined with Alex's technical skills, made them a formidable team. They learned to anticipate challenges before they appeared, working in sync to ensure both safety and effectiveness. The process strengthened their bond and deepened Lyra's trust in him. Even as they focused on external dangers, Lyra and Alex found time to develop a deeper understanding of each other. The shared experience of survival created a connection that went beyond mere gratitude or loyalty. Lyra admired Alex's courage and dedication, recognizing that he had chosen to stand by her when others would have walked away. Alex, in turn, respected Lyra's intelligence, resilience, and commitment to her people. Their partnership was no longer just about survival. It had become a collaboration built on mutual respect, trust, and shared values. Challenges continued to emerge. Some advisors and allies were hesitant to accept Alex's presence and influence, arguing that a human had no place in decisions affecting the Zetharian Empire. Lyra confronted these objections with wisdom and confidence. She explained that true leadership required recognizing talent and loyalty wherever it existed, regardless of species. Her insistence on valuing merit over prejudice earned her respect from many, though some remained skeptical. Alex accepted this quietly, understanding that influence came not from titles, but from actions and integrity. The trust they had built allowed them to face challenges with unity, demonstrating the strength of a partnership founded on shared purpose. Lyra also had to confront the emotional impact of betrayal. Trust once broken was difficult to rebuild, yet she realized that forgiveness, when combined with strength, could transform weakness into power. She did not forgive blindly, but she made clear that loyalty and honesty would be required moving forward. Her clear expectations and unwavering stance helped restore order and focus within her ranks. Alex's steady presence reminded her that strength often came not from isolation, but from collaboration. Together, they were a reminder that courage and loyalty could shape outcomes in ways that fear and betrayal never could. As Lyra prepared to address her enemies directly, she understood that the real test was not just surviving threats, but reclaiming her voice and authority. Public appearances, communications with other leaders, and displays of strategic thinking were necessary to solidify her position. With Alex providing tactical support and ensuring operational readiness, she was able to present herself as confident, capable, and unbroken. Her past ordeal had strengthened her, giving her insight into both human and alien behavior, and she used this knowledge wisely. She was no longer just a princess. She had become a leader shaped by experience, capable of facing betrayal, danger, and uncertainty without fear. By the end of these intense weeks, Lyra had successfully confronted betrayal, defended her position, and earned renewed respect from both allies and skeptics. She had proven that survival was not just about endurance, but about intelligence, courage, and collaboration. Alex remained by her side, an indispensable ally who had shared the trials and contributed to every decision. Their bond had grown stronger than either could have anticipated, built on shared hardship, respect, and the understanding that survival and success were only possible through trust and partnership. Lyra was ready for the final challenge, restoring her empire fully, confronting her enemies and embracing a future where she was no longer alone in the vast galaxy. The day came when Lyra would step beyond the safety of the station and into the broader galaxy she was meant to lead. Her recovery and planning had been long and careful, and she was now stronger than ever before. Her former enemies and betrayers watched with a mixture of surprise and unease, unsure if she had regained her strength or if she was vulnerable. Lyra, however, walked forward with calm assurance. Every step, every gesture was a declaration that she had endured, survived, and grown stronger through adversity. The galaxy had tested her, but she was ready to reclaim her place. Alex accompanied her, not just as a protector but as a partner. Together they navigated political negotiations, reconciled with potential allies, and demonstrated the value of trust, loyalty, and collaboration. Lyra's ability to combine strategic intelligence with courage impressed even her most skeptical advisors. Her experiences had taught her to assess both people and situations carefully, to anticipate risks, and to make decisions confidently. Alex's technical expertise and calm problem-solving enhanced her leadership, showing that partnerships could cross the boundaries of species and tradition. Challenges were never far away. Rivals tested her authority through subtle manipulations, attempts at sabotage, and strategic misinformation. Lyra faced each with patience and skill, often consulting Alex for technical or tactical insight. Their teamwork became legendary within the sector. They devised strategies that were both clever and practical, addressing threats before they could materialize. Lyra had learned that strength was not only in personal power, but in the ability to build alliances, recognize talent, and act decisively with support. Alex's presence reminded her that courage could inspire, and loyalty could create unbreakable bonds. Public perception became another arena of challenge. Some doubted the princess's survival story, believing it improbable that a human could have saved her. Lyra faced these doubts openly, using clear communication, transparency, and the demonstration of her regained strength to prove that the story was true. Alex's quiet competence supported her claims without overshadowing her own authority. Slowly, respect for Lyra grew, not just as a survivor but as a capable and intelligent leader. She had transformed from a princess abandoned in space to a symbol of resilience and determination for her people. Through the trials, Lyra and Alex's bond evolved into an unspoken partnership rooted in trust and shared experience. The respect they had built grew into a deeper understanding of each other's strengths, values, and perspectives. Lyra recognized that while Alex was human, his courage, intelligence, and loyalty were qualities that transcended species. Alex, in turn, saw in Lyra a leader who combined wisdom, strength, and compassion, someone worth protecting and supporting. Their partnership became a testament to the power of mutual respect and collaboration, even in the most unlikely circumstances. As Lyra consolidated her authority, she confronted the final remnants of betrayal. Former allies who had abandoned her were given a choice: demonstrate true loyalty or step aside. The process was delicate and required both firmness and diplomacy. Lyra's leadership shone through as she balanced justice with pragmatism, ensuring that only those committed to her empire's well-being remained in positions of influence. Alex's strategic insight helped navigate potential pitfalls, ensuring that decisions were made with both caution and confidence. Together, they turned a situation of past betrayal into an opportunity for renewal and strength. Finally, with her empire stabilized and her authority recognized, Lyra took a moment to reflect on her journey. She had survived abandonment, navigated danger, rebuilt trust, and confronted enemies. She had learned the importance of resilience, courage, and loyalty. Most importantly, she had discovered the power of partnership with someone from a different world who had chosen to stand by her side when others walked away. Alex had not only saved her life but had helped shape the leader she had become. Lyra's story spread throughout the galaxy, a tale of survival, courage, and unexpected alliances. She became a symbol of hope and determination, showing that even in the face of betrayal and danger, strength, intelligence, and loyalty could prevail. And as she looked at Alex, She knew that the bond they shared would continue to guide them through challenges yet to come. Together they had overcome impossible odds, faced the harsh realities of the universe, and forged a partnership that bridged worlds. Lyra, the princess once left for dead, had not only survived but had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to shape the future with courage, trust, and the knowledge that she was never truly alone.